Hey guys, welcome to Word for Wednesday. Just thought I'd take a walk outside and take a look at the colors. Thinking about what to talk about today, I was reading the Bible this morning and came across the verse, Jesus wept. The shortest verse in our Bible. Jesus wept. This is the story involving Lazarus' death. And when Jesus comes, the first thing he does is he weeps. Of course, we know the story that Jesus does raise Lazarus from the dead. But Jesus still wept. And I think this is really indicative about the God we serve. You know, we get a lot of criticism, if God is all good and God is all powerful, then why does he allow suffering in the world? The fact that there's suffering must indicate that he's either lacking in goodness or lacking in power. And it's a common criticism we hear about Christianity or faith in general. And, nobody's ever really given an answer that could satisfy the critics in this area. Because, first of all, critics aren't actually looking for a satisfying answer. They're looking to criticize and leave it there. But Christianity does take a unique approach to this question, and I think that's summed up in the verse, Jesus wept. God could destroy all evil. Thank God he doesn't, because then there would be none of us left, because we all fall short of the perfect standard. But rather than do that, in Christianity, we see that God came down and said, yeah, there's evil, there's suffering in the world, but you're not going to go through it alone, mankind. I'm going to come go through it with you. And we see that in the verse, Jesus wept. And as we continue to read through the gospel stories, we do come to the cross where Jesus continues to go through suffering and endure pain and endure evil with us. And in the case of the cross, he does it for us. And in doing so, we know that ultimately he will put an end to all pain and suffering. So let's keep that in mind when we hear criticisms about God not putting an end to evil, therefore he must be lacking in goodness or power. Well, God goes through the pain and the suffering with us. We see that in Jesus wept. And ultimately, he will put an end to suffering and evil. And that process was started on the cross and will end in the final judgment. And he may not be putting an end to evil and suffering on their timeline, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Thanks for joining me on this Word for Wednesday. This is a ministry of Lakefield Baptist Church. If you're in the Manistee Lakes area of Michigan's Upper Peninsula, you're welcome to join us Sunday morning at 11. Thanks.